Hi, guys. Welcome back to High Consciousness Podcast. This is episode one with your host, papilynn, and your co host, T.
You're
Today, our episode is about a lot of different points, but mainly perception. Um, we're talking about the basic foundation of how we view things, of information given to us, and we're going to continue to dive in a little bit deeper on what we, you know, treaded on our trailer. Um, Amongst the fact of what's going on with the whole Kyrie Irving and Ye situation, and just a few clips on just the foundation of, how we really view things and how perception can really go either left or right. And share our perspectives. We'll get it started with our co-host T. He'll get us started, and yeah, I'm excited, and I hope that you guys enjoy this. And I hope that it brings you a new perspective for things and it helps you question things, because that's what here at High Consciousness Podcast is all about. Questioning and critically thinking about the information that's placed upon us, especially on the media, and just digging a little deeper into that. So I'm excited. And T.
you. First and foremost, thank you for tuning in. This is
Facts.
going to be a little different compared to how we would normally run future episodes. We're just going to give you a basic rundown of, like you said, like basic foundation. That's what I like to call it. So, as a human, right, we're all experiencing this thing we call life. Okay, I
Facts.
would like to think that there's other humans walking around here, but yeah, the way 2022 ended and what they call 2023 is starting to do. It's a lot of it's a term that's being used that I like to use myself. It's called NPCs or
Mm,
bots. There's a lot of bot-like behavior,
yeah,
and
that's a good
that's
one.
simply it just simply means like you're just following the trend. You're not really going against the grain when told anything. You just take it how it is, and that's really no way to live life. At least I think so. Um, I know, get a little personal, just a little bit. I know, growing up, especially as a child, there's not many things that you can control. When you become an adult, and eventually it should kick in if you're a responsible adult, that you come to realize that your parents, as great as they might be, did the best that they could. And if they had you young, pretty much like most of us were,
Mm-hmm. Facts.
imagine yourself at their age. Would you been able to raise a kid?
Oof.
Did you even know what you were doing when you were that age? You know what the hell the world was at that age? So take that into your own life and just know that we're all sharing this life. We all have our own experiences. And other people also have this experience. And when they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to share it with you, is the best way I could put it, is share it with you.
Yeah.
It's something that you can definitely learn from, whether it's good or bad. Somebody made a bad choice with their life. You see the effect of it. I'm not going to do that. If it could be something as simple as like, okay, drinking and driving. All right, there's a risk. Well, there's always a risk. Somebody getting hurt. If it's not you, it's the passengers. Not your passengers. It's whoever you get in an accident with. It's you're gonna affect somebody's life. Is it worth the risk though? Just to do something like that?
That's the question.
That's the question.
Yeah.
And when you start to do things like that, you break everything down into okay, is it worth it if I do this? Is there consequence if I do this? You come
Is
to
it?
realize that everything is a choice,
Mm-hmm. And there's a consequence to everything.
good or bad. Correct. Again, I'm no doctor, okay? No physician, no psychologist. But I don't think you need to be that to understand that you're a human. And what you put out into the world, you're going to get back.
Mm-hmm. Karma.
Multitude of things. Karma could be your manners, giving respect, the simple things. You see it on a physical plane, but on the invisible plane, that's the part. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
I also feel like a lot of our experiences are, well, the world and society paints it to be just an external thing, when in reality is also internal, and internal has a lot to deal with spirituality and just in general, like that internal power is a lot. It seems like it's a lot harder than external, and it is because it's constant work. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to share that because it just brought up that thought to my mind.
No, and it's true though. Like who really wants to? I'll say want to, even though we do it. Who really wants to constantly work? Now, this is something that you love. That's completely different. You know,
Yeah, that's not work.
that's no, that's not work.
Just
It's
doing something that.
but this goes back to the cause and effect. All right. So just like
Or
we all have to work in some way, I'm starting to learn with my handful of job experience. Right at the ripe age of almost 30, everybody's going to complain about their job. They're going to always complain about where they are, or they're not getting paid enough, or it's difficult, or they just don't have enough of something, you know.
mm-hmm.
And I think that that among a lot of different other things, we over here we know that there's layers to this, and this is a multifaceted game, right?
Mm-hmm. Facts.
So it's not just one thing you can just say like, oh, you're feeling down, like you gotta pick yourself up. Don't worry about it. Everybody goes through it. Yes and no. Like yes and no. Because over here where we are in the West, as they call it, we have a lot more privilege that a lot of other people don't in the rest of the world.
Yes.
And it's when you find joy in the simple things
Mm-hmm.
and being grateful for the simple things
Yep.
that you get to appreciate not just who you're becoming, how you get to experience other people now. You get to there's a part of you that looks at other people when you're talking to people and go like, I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there yet, but I can see myself when I'm 57 having to manage 50 people, being stressed out because people don't want to come to work, call out for whatever reason. People are going to be people.
Mm-hmm.
But I can definitely relate on other levels other than that. Of course,
So would that be?
the effects of certain choices might seem small, insignificant, you know, but they'll create little tiny cracks, just like on a screen protector. The longer you use a screen protector with all these tiny cracks, it causes more of an issue, right? Another analogy would be like, think about this for a second. What's more expensive? Doing maintenance on minor problems in your car, or waiting until your motor blows and now you have to buy a whole new motor? If you want to buy a motor, you might as well just buy a whole new car, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What's the effect of just taking care of your car, changing your oil, making sure your tires are good, making sure your brake pads are good? Or just, nah, fuck it.
I'm just gonna let it sit there.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Right?
And then that
Apply
brings
that.
more consequences.
Apply that to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, reading is a choice, exercising is a choice, self reflecting,
Is
introspection is a choice.
self-awareness.
That's a choice. Wanting to remain ignorant because ignorance is bliss is a choice.
Yeah. Wanting to eat better, eat healthier is a choice.
That's a choice. All these are choices that have long-term effects. Okay. Now, there's also it would be negative effects if you were just not exercising, eating whatever, eating straight, high caloric, high cholesterol intakes, high sugars, high fats, right? Not giving a care in the world, just munching down 2 pies of pizza here and there, not eating the proper amount of food. Obviously, it's a choice. You don't like the way that you look, you don't like the way that you feel. You made choices in your life that got you there. And it's just, and that's just the physical realm. Once again, that's just
Literally, yeah.
so when you get to
Go
the
through
point for
something.
yourself, when you understand that that's the choice that you made and you have to be accountable, you start to look at other people and you can see their choices, you know? Yeah. Just because the majority of people agrees and probably follows the same idea doesn't make it correct. Okay. Especially when it comes to laws. Like, you just think about slavery, think about down to the fact that now this is getting a little controversial, okay? But it's history. People that look like us, brown skinned people, we weren't allowed to read. Okay. Something that's so fundamental about who you are as a person when you challenge yourself to different ideas, different viewpoints, and when you have information, you get to learn things about the world, and that's how you take it all in, right?
Just to also add to that, when we get information as people, um, we also get to tap into our inner powers. And again, as I was stating earlier, everybody's so into the external, the physical form, but we forget that we have an intuition, that we have eyes, that we can see, that what we see is what we see, and it strips us away from being able to really find ourselves and tune into who we are. Um, as to why reading was not acceptable for black people, for slavery, for those times. And I just wanted to add that as to your point of what you're sharing, because I feel like it's a very important point to highlight.
We have this talk before many times about how people believe that oh, we're living in modern times. We must be so advanced because of all our technology
Mm-hmm.
that this is the best that we've ever been. The human race, mankind, just we're the smartest creatures that ever graced this earth. Until you do a couple little extra curricular Google searches, and then come
Mm-hmm.
to find out this
Something
is the
completely
dumbest people
different.
have been.
Yeah.
Those are the dumbest people have been. Attention span is through the toilet.
Mm-hmm. It has lowered throughout the years.
It keeps getting lower and
It
lower.
just keeps going.
More kids are graduating without being able to read, or if they're reading at like a fourth or fifth grade level. Like they're really just pumping out NPCs. They're just pumping out bots. They want employees. They want people who can show up on time,
Mm.
do the job, even if it's good or bad. Just show up, do the job, right?
Don't question me.
Don't question, and just keep your head down,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. Don't question nothing. Don't even look up. Don't even observe the reality around you, and don't even cushion it yourself. Don't worry about yourself. We got you.
Don't question the shadows.
Don't question the shadows. We got you. Right? We know what that is. That's man. We call that a car. All right. Don't worry about how the car works.
Just know it works. It'll get you to
Just know
point
it
A to
works.
point B.
That's it.
You didn't make it,
That's
so
it.
you don't just do your part. Stay in your lane. Follow suit.
That's it. And that applies to a lot of different things in
Yeah.
life. Yes. And to all of us.
and to all of us, because this is all by design. As to again, it's how we then later on as adults perceive the world, even as children perceive the world. And there's so many layers to it. Um, there's so many layers that play a part as to why some of us can't even that we have to fight against the fact that we want to think differently. Um, because at this point, they don't want you to think differently. They don't want you to question anything. They want you to just follow along with everything that they bring to the table. But it's like, no, we are also people. We also matter. We have thoughts, we have feelings, and there's more to what they give. And I say they, but as we continue this journey, it's only gonna make more sense to what the bigger picture is. But today we're just gonna get started with a little bit of a gem that I love so much.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a gem. I first learned this. I'm going to talk about a little concept. It's a philosophical concept, all right? It's an allegory. Now, this is one of the few things that I actually took away from college when I did go. I had a psychology class. This is a philosopher called Plato. Might be a famous guy, might not. He has an allegory of the cave, is what is best known for. Okay? And instead of me just sitting here and summarizing it for you, I'm gonna do something like boom bop, bring it up. Yes, sir. And we're gonna have a little reading class, guys.
Ooh, ooh.
It's bigger. I wonder. That should be big enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Lord, the allegory of the cave, or Plato's cave, is an allegory. And for people who don't know what that is, you've said it a few times by now. Fortunately, we live in the world of the internet, and everything just pops up in an instant. So there's no excuse for, I don't know what that word is. I don't understand. My
Facts.
comprehension, I don't get it. So, no, if you don't get it, if you're reading something, stop,
Look it up.
look it
Yes.
up, understand what's being said, get context, and then proceed. That is ultimately the best way just to learn what you're absorbing. Okay.
Yeah, and also understand that words mean things. Every single word means something, and it's good to look it up to get the context of how it's being used as well.
So, simply put, allegory is a literary device or artistic form. It's a narrative, visual representation in which a character, place, or event can be interpreted to represent a hidden meaning with moral or political significance. Authors have used allegories throughout history in all forms of art to illustrate or blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. So basically, it's metaphor with art. Okay, has the phrase "a painting is 1,000 words."
Oof, yeah.
Yes, that's the meaning. Okay,
This definitely has 1,000 words.
it definitely has 1,000 words. So, long story short, because I want you guys to do this for yourselves to learn it. Like me personally, I learned so much just from hearing it or even just watching it. Unless you actually implement it for yourself, you're not gonna. Personally, I don't fully grasp something unless I put it out there, or I do it myself, or I see it in front of me and I attained it. I did that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
In the cave, okay, as you can see over here, Plato describes a group of people who have lived chained to a wall of a cave all their lives, facing a blank wall over here. The people watch shadows projected on the wall from objects passing in front of a fire behind them and gives name to these shadows. The shadows are prisoner's reality, but are not accurate representation of the real world. The shadows represent the fragment of reality that we can normally perceive through our senses, while the objects under the sun, which would be nature, outdoors, outside the cave, right, represent the true forms of objects that we can only perceive through reason. Three higher levels exist: the natural sciences, okay, which again, Wikipedia is right here. It's really simple. Basically, peer reviewed, repeatable findings, scientific peer reviews, what they call peer reviews. That thing has its own, we'll call it conspiracy. That thing has its own
Mhm.
category. Like, just because something is peer reviewed as well doesn't mean that it's fully backed. I mean, we could talk about the vid. You know. So, natural sciences, mathematics, geometry, deductive logic, and the theory of forms. Okay. Math is one of those things there. One plus one is two. You can't get around that. Okay. Geometry is basically using math to affect the space that's around us, objects, matter, things. And right there, deductive logic. It's simply there. Now, I don't have to go through every one of these and just read it out because I can use context clues. Now, if I really feel that, or if I really think that I don't know what I'm talking about, then I'll stop. Stop and understand. And that applies to anybody. Woo! Socrates, which is another philosopher, right? You guys know Socrates. Come on,
Mhm.
big name boys. Explains how the philosopher is like a prisoner who is freed from the cave and comes to understand that the shadows on the wall are actually not the direct source of the images seen. A philosopher aims to understand and perceive the higher levels of reality. However, the inmates of the cave do not even desire to leave their prison, for they know no better life. Okay? Simply put, dude, right? Boom, prisoner. He gets freed. He's like, hey, yo, I'm no longer here with these bums, right? We call this a horse. We call that a doge. You know what I'm saying? But come to find out that these images are being casted, right? They're, they're artificial. They're fake. They're not the real things. Okay? Step out the cave. This is would be equivalent to the fire. All right, guys? The sun would be equivalent to the fire. That casts a light. This is reality. We step outside, we see animals. We have to go in to the wild. Well, not anymore, seeing as everything's civilized. But go into the wild, forage, get your little berries. You know what I'm saying? Get a little hut, get shelter, food and shelter, water and air. There's necessities that we need to survive, right? What do you think happens when the need for survival is it coincides, or I should say, it's right there. It's right parallel with the least path of resistance. Okay. I truly believe, and I see it every day, humans will take the least path of resistance just out of laziness. Just
Yeah. Laziness, comfortability. And I want to pause right there for a second
right,
because as you were talking about this, it kind of brought me back, and I just want to be relatable for a second as well. Coming into this information even for myself, it wasn't easy. Especially living, as you stated, in survival mode. Uh just how we talk about redlining and all these different things that we will also touch base on. But it mainly is where you're essentially a product of your environment, as they state, right? And growing up where I grew up, in Patterson, it was just very much survival mode constantly. Like my mindset was literally on survival mode to the point that it you become complacent on information. You start to just only think about what you see when you go outside, and just, like, how can I survive through this, and blah blah blah, and like this is all I know. um And I say that because I feel like when it comes down to this, it's a prime example of what we go through. Um, and if we don't sit down and at some point question our reality, or even take in for a second, like, damn, am I living off survival mode, or am I really like capturing something here? You will never really have that clarity of what's being put in front of you, you know? And I feel like in this situation, like even with the whole like thing, where it's like they're not even questioning the shadows anymore. And it's like it gets like that. Like you get to a point where it's just like that's you're complacent. Like that's this is all I know. And because this is all I know, this is where I become ignorant. And some decide to get out of that ignorance, some decide to stay in that ignorance. Again, it goes back to what we're talking about, the basic foundation of free will, and having that choice to be able to, yeah, like for a second pause and be like, well, let me dive deeper. Maybe this is all I've known, but maybe I can know something differently. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to share that because even me, like, it took my free will for me to be like, you know what? Something in me ignited and was like, what is this? Like, what is this? And once you start connecting the dots, you connect everything. At some point, you're not obviously gonna not. I shouldn't use the word everything, but you connect some of what the picture's trying to show you.
Yeah.
And you don't become a puppet anymore, because that's also what it is. It's all by design. And of course some of us don't know that, but as
Yeah.
we continue to grow up and get older and be faced with, because as they state, the age of information, again, it goes back to free will. So I just kind of wanted to give that little piece.
No, you're absolutely correct. Like, this is the age of information, and because we all have free will, like I said before, everybody, I want to say everybody, but again, it just appears to be a majority that they're the smartest thing walking around here, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They're they don't need to read an instruction manual about anything, or actually, if someone's saying something like, "Get the third booster shot," 98% effective. Like,
It's easy. It's easy. It's easy to fall into that. It's easy to fall into fear. It's easy to just fall into what the less of doing work, essentially, because that's what it
right,
is, like doing the
right,
work.
is doing the work, and just like these prisoners facing the wall, nah, I'd rather be entertained. And look,
Right. Mm-hmm.
we all have some all type of self. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say shadow, but we all have a hidden self that we don't really want to expose to other
Mm-hmm.
people, or even if we're not really aware of it, right? So, because things have been working the way it's been working for however many years you've been alive, right? And you know what you know at the end of the day, when presented with information that's different from what you know, there there are a lot of people who will just sit there like the prisoners and just be like, nah, I'm good here. It's good here. I like the struggle. I like what they're telling me.
And just like the prisoners, um, again, it goes back to it's like more of you're getting offended because you're defending what you know, and you're getting it's an attachment piece to it. You're attached to that
Mhm.
information. You're attached to what you know. This is all you've known. That's like when people say, "Oh, I got out the hood," and blah blah blah, this and that and the third. But like, yeah, but that never leaves you, because at some point that's all you knew, right? And is that choice of either that's all I know and that's all I'm ever gonna know, or let me use more of what I don't know and see if I can even make more of that. Like, and even me, like I remember I remember when, like, that man came up to me and she was just like, "Yo, you're ignorant." And I was like, I got defensive because I don't like that word. I never liked that word. And I'm like, I'm not ignorant. "What you mean I'm not ignorant, blah, blah, blah." And, it was me being defensive because I didn't like what was being told to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is not easy to digest. This hurts. Like, it hurts. Life is pain. Life is uncertainty and
Mm-hmm.
constant work, as we learned yesterday by watching a cool ass documentary. Um, but, you know, within that, you have to also be able to question yourself and ask yourself, why am I being triggered? Why am I defending this? Why am I feeling so attached to this? And some people just don't take that moment to do that because their attachment is more important than what could possibly help them in the long run, or even just provide them with a different perspective or more insight into the life that we're in, because this is all of us. This is not just this is not just you, this is not just people from the past. Like, this is all of us, and we're all going to continue to enter into this. it's
Correct.
like it's like you have to enter into this and then go through it and figure it out. And you know when people are coming up to you and trying to give you a different perspective, question that. Maybe think to yourself, why is that being even brought to me?
Right.
Because everything has a purpose, everything has a reason. And when you push that away because you're being ignorant, you're like, no, I'd rather do this, I'd rather stay complacent here, I'd rather be comfortable here. It's that comfortability. You have to be uncomfortable in order to grow. um and that's just saying it in the words of now. Back then it was very different, as to what we're sharing here. But
No, I mean it's absolutely true. Like I don't even have to sit here and continue reading the rest of this because I really, like I said before, I really the way that I learn, and I'm not saying that I'm a special unique person. Like I even use YouTube to learn different things. That's the point of the internet. It's for information. Not just looking at cat videos or titties. Like there's so many different things that you can actually learn and teach yourself and get yourself out of any confusion that you have, any type of depression that you have. Like when it comes, at least for me, when it comes to life, the only time I would be like, oh, I'm depressed is if I don't have any, I'll call it control. Or if something is occurring and I'm sure I crossed my T's, dotted my I's. I'm sure I did everything correctly, but it's just not playing out the way that, you know, I had hoped for.
hmm
People get let down. Okay, sure. And then there's the occasional like dealing with life, dealing with death, dealing with accidents, stuff like that happens. Understandable. But again, to bring it back, like to be over here in the West, and I think to even remotely say you're you're like down bad, you gotta ask yourself, okay, do I have the necessities to survive here? Do I have food? Do I have shelter? Do I have water? Do I have heat? And then extra stuff, electricity, because that's something that we harnessed as humans. It's in nature, yes, but that's something that we harnessed for our benefit. We don't necessarily need electricity to survive,
right.
but it's a tool that's being used. There are other humans living right now that dream for the things that you have. The same way that you might dream that you want more things,
hmm
other humans look at you and go, that's enough for me. And they seem to have joy and be grateful and connect to one another and, live their life. Why is it that? Again, I don't know if it's just a West thing. We're so civilized. Why is it the more stuff that people have or get absorbed into, it's never enough? They're always chasing the next high. It's never enough. And I think that's a pitfall for those particular people. because they're always going to be chasing something
Mhm.
instead of self-reflecting. And like I said, this whole thing's about taking accountability at the end of the day. I got people
Yeah.
have their choices. So I'm not reading the rest of this for y'all. That's y'all job. You're grown
But
people, but it definitely applies to different aspects. Like I use this as we call it, or I call it, the foundation. Now I want to say I'm religious, but this foundation has helped me in my growth with spirituality. That seems to be a thing that's it's picking up nowadays. Like it's either you're atheist, religious, or you're spiritual, you know. But at the same time, it always ends up in that aspect. The more you dig deep, you dive deep, you try talking to yourself, asking questions about who you are, how you got here, thinking about your family. Um, Maybe you get to talk to them about their experiences, what they've gone through, just to get an understanding of who they are as a person. At some point, at least for me, right? Because I said I was going to make this a personal thing, personal episode. At least for me, you just have to ask, okay, there. I know there's a higher power out there because there's certain things that I came across that I can't explain, other people can't explain. It just is. It's a universal law. It just is. We call it the law of attraction, positive intent, um, the good and bad, cause and effect. Something that's put into motion stays in motion, right? Unless there's an opposite force acting on it. One of Newton's laws, right? If it's not the first one, it's the second one, if I'm not mistaken. So even physical realm, even scientists use methods like this to produce the world around us physically, but they also use it
to
to manipulate us. Yes. They use it to manipulate us. And the one way you can manipulate a person is if you can control their perception, control how they see the world, define the things for them, make it as easy as possible so they don't even have to question it. They don't even have to question it. Because what happens when you start to question things? I guess life gets hard, but I feel great. Like this is the the best time to be in. I don't really necessarily have too much stress. I am dealing with it in proper steps, and I know this from my own personal journey. When I talk about it or about how I am, how I'm doing, how I process things, even with my mom, any other family member, coworkers, I I approach people differently because I'm starting to understand that not everybody's on the same. I mean, we talked about this. Not everybody's on the same path in their journey,
Mhm.
but I didn't think it was going to be this deep.
That and also being that deep and also knowing that even though you may not be on the same journey or no, sorry, path as someone else, we can still somehow help each other. And that's the part. Um,
I agree.
I'm
Think
sorry.
think about this. Think about this. The end goal, right? We're all trying to get the end goal. What does everybody want? Peaceful life, probably. They want happiness. They want health. Okay, wealth. Just to usually you want wealth because you want to be happy. You know you're not going to get a lot of that extra stress that comes along with not having enough money, right?
Right.
That's a whole thing that plays into this.
Certainty.
That's the part, certainty. So we're all trying to reach a certainty, but we're all taking different paths to get there,
Mhm.
right? I've I'm the type of person that if I see someone that's, I'm not gonna say they're going down a wrong path or maybe they're just going in circles. You know what I'm saying? Doing a burnout, but they don't want to do a burnout. They don't want to be in the parking lot burning their rubbers and don't know where they're going, spending all this extra money because they don't know where they're going, but now they got to replace their tires. This is all a metaphor, though, in real life. If you don't have a path, if you don't have an idea of, okay, I don't just want to continue working this 9 to 5. I don't want to continue working this company. I don't want to continue working here, making XYZ more money when I don't feel fulfilled myself. There's something that's missing. And just doing what everybody else does isn't fulfilling to me. At some point, I think a majority of people get there.
Yeah, it's called getting tired of your own bullshit. And that's what I like to call it because I've gotten there and I constantly from time to time get there even though I'm in a place where I am serving my purpose. Like I follow my soul. I need to be fulfilled. I'm not the type of person that I can follow suit. Like I've just never been that person. I always question things. Like I'm always like, all right, like something always curiosity. Curiosity is just my key component to life. I always stay curious, but it's really there's no way you won't ever get to that point and some people get to that point and we also have thoughts um and they can control that like to a certain degree and it's like if you don't even take the moment to do that like we've lost a lot of people due to suicide due to them wanting to escape this world and not be present um or whatever that looks like it can get to that extent. And these are things that have had that they've been going on since like prior to
No, of
us.
course not.
This allegory of the cave didn't just like yes, it happened like a hundred years
100
ago or
years
however
ago, but
long, but it's still things that even prior to that just have been going on, which we'll tie into. But I say that because this information has been here and Malcolm X shared it. It's like the puppets. You're either a puppet or you're not.
hmm
And use this allegory as a reference point when processing information. You either have the choice to become the one who constantly controls their own mind, or you become the one that's being told what to think and what to do and what you see and what you hear. Again, they're always going to start with physical form and how to control us through even our six senses. But
I like you keep saying six senses because usually it's five senses, but you're adding in the spiritual aspect, and it's
yes,
that part that it
yes,
there is a spiritual war going on. There's a mental war, a spiritual war going on as well. And at this rate, pick a god and go with it because at least they had some type of structure out of chaos. Because right now,
there's there's none.
there is none.
There's
There
none.
is there is no, everybody's doing their own
It's
thing.
off. It's literally all free for all.
Free for all. People are afraid of, I guess, judging people or getting canceled in public or being judged for um yeah, okay, like I do OnlyFans and sure, like I'm a nurse, but that shouldn't matter. But in retrospect, if I was a owner of a company, I wouldn't want that
Mhm.
as an image for my business or my industry or whatever it is, right? And just the fact that we can talk about that or even think about that in less than 20 seconds is it's mind blowing, honestly, when it happens over and over again, like someone lost their job because of this. Recently, I don't remember when it was. Again, OnlyFans chick took her and her boyfriend and were filming in a school. Like, what sense does that make for you to do that
Mm-mm.
around children? At least where children it could be, right? It's not even about it's around children; it's where they could be, right? That's a whole different topic. Like, I think that
Yeah.
over sexualization of us, the society in general, is causing a downfall, and it's at a rapid pace. And like I said, I'm not religious, but shit, pick one, abide by whatever it is, and just
Stick to that.
stick to it, because at least they were like, yo, no promiscuity, stop that, chill. No, dress
Yeah.
properly. No, be mannered, respect your parents. No, chill, like chill. You're doing too much nowadays. Nah. Oh yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like in general, you can use this as a reference point, as Lynn said, to any aspects of your life. If you feel you're not doing a great job at your workplace, is it the job, or is it just because you're not getting the satisfaction from it?
Yeah, it's the part of being fulfilled. And, as stated prior, the allegory of the cave, it also goes back to agreements we've made with ourselves. When I first started this journey, I didn't just dive into the allegory of the cave. I was going through a very dark time, and I had to really sit back and even just think about the fundamentals as a human. Like, what are my values? What makes me happy? What am I good at? What am I not good at? What have I been like dealing with that I haven't probably faced yet? How did I get here? How did I even get to this position that I'm currently in? How can I attract differently? And I fell into the law of attraction. I fell into the four agreements as the book. I fell into the alchemist. I fell into I'm pretty sure it's called Beyond a Pale Horse. I fell into a lot of different books,
Oh,
but that
behold the pale horse.
Behold a Pale Horse.
Hmm.
I fell into a lot of different books, and I took that time, and I had the time to take, and I made the time to really get back into me, because at the end of the day, yeah, we have all this external power, right? And yeah, we all the minute that we step into this world, whether it's America, whether it's South America, whether it's somewhere over there in the east, whatever, the minute that we step into this world, is automatically like, what are we gonna be? Who do you want to become? What did it, like, all of this like thrown at
Hmm.
us? And it's like, bro, can I breathe? Can I even understand what breathing does to me? Like, can I even
Hmm.
understand how breathing helps me? Like, it's just going back to the fundamentals. That's how I got into meditation. So I share that in a quick round, because I want to say this. you know it takes baby steps, right? But the whole point is to think to yourself, okay, who am I and who do I want to be? And why am I here? Why am I placed here? Like, there's just small questions in those moments can get you to even think, like, when the external world is not operating properly, you have your internal self, and that's all we have at the end of the day. But because we're so focused on the external, because that's all we've been taught, that's just what it is at this point, we steer away from looking back into us and thinking like, oh shit, like, damn, I need a self-reflect, like, I need to be self-aware, like, self-aware. What does make me like feel good? What does make me feel bad? Like, let me explore those things. And it's really
Hmm.
that first, and that's what the design is made for to get you away from you. And we've all been there, still there, and it's just really steering away from the ignorant part, because you can't even be ignorant with yourself. There's
Oh
people
yeah.
that are ignorant about the things that they eat. Like, you could like, because it's again comfort, it's again easy. And this life is not easy. Going into searching this information is not light. Going into wanting to know more about this is not gonna be fun. Or I shouldn't even, and it's sad that I have to say fun, but it's not about that. It's really about getting more in tune with what is going on, what's truly going on. You get me? Like,
Yeah, it's just I definitely what's truly going on. It's so that you're no longer going to be deceived. You're no
right.
longer going to be led astray. You're no longer going to give up your autonomy to people who don't even care about you.
Hmm.
Like this is literally this whole system. and it's a system, whether it's hierarchical, consumerism, or anything of the sort. It doesn't matter. The ones up top don't care. We can literally die and our jobs will replace us in a heartbeat. They don't care. It's just understanding that you're not going to give yourself the time that you deserve, because we all have one life. You deserve to live your life.
Mhm.
You don't deserve to give every single waking hour to a job.
Mhm.
And I think that's all where it boils down to, where, and goes back to the like general education and public schools, and just where information, at least for us growing up, obviously, where it comes from, right? So I'm not going to get too deep into it again. Just long story short, the people, or just the person, but generally the people who created the Board of Education over here, which is a public system for the Americas, right, was well funded by the wealthiest man in modern times. When people hear that for the first time, it's like, oh, who cares? Like, what does that matter? Like, who cares? Why are you saying that? Okay, so we have the money. You should have helped us. Good, right? In a perfect world, in a utopia, yes. But again, think about this. And this is where we say shout out to Behold the Pale Horse. All right. This is why reading is fundamental. There's a quote in there right in the beginning. I think it's a preface that it's inconceivable to believe people who have all the money, all the power to throttle the economy, the power to affect the livelihood of the masses, right? At a flip of a switch, that they're not doing it. That they're not doing it. I mean, there's some points where you're gonna start to talk to yourself, and you're gonna feel like, "Am I a conspiracy theorist? Like, I don't
Mhm.
understand."
That's the first question everybody asks themselves.
Right? Am I? What is happening? What's going on? And you should take that concern, question it, really question it, because not just that label. Now, check this out. We have people in the mainstream media that's booming right now, or actually the mainstream, but at least social media, right? That's booming. Before we get into like uh, Kyrie Irving and Kanye, we can talk about someone like Andrew Tate. Okay, he's a person that's talking about men's health. He wants to boost men. He's telling men to get up. Literally the same thing that we're talking about. Get a different perspective on life. He says for himself, he doesn't get depressed. He's a happy man because he sees it in a different perspective. Again, we can be down, but what do we have to complain about? Someone in his position has every single thing, everything that a person could need in this world, every physical thing in abundance, and he still says what I would say to you: hedonism doesn't work. This chaotic, I'ma just sleep with whoever, fuck whoever, do whatever, eat everything, smoke everything, drink everything, have no care in the world. It doesn't matter. It's an empty hole.
Mhm.
It's not gonna fill you. If anything's gonna take things away from you, right? And this goes back to the cause and effect thing. It all plays into a role. So for a man of that, call it status, for a man of that status to say things like that, and that could resonate with a lot more people in general who are being told by mainstream, by society, no, you need to do this. You need to I mean, it's different. Like there are people out here who don't want to wear skirts, who don't want to get their nails painted, who miss using their hands in shop class, who miss doing stuff that appeals to the male mind. When you look at school, and I can see this for a lot of boys as well, and it's reflected in the numbers. We don't have ADHD. We don't. We just operate differently from the girls. Like you guys can be told what to do. You can be lectured. It can be interactive for hours. Okay. If something is boring, and I've noticed this for myself, if something is boring, we'll do other things. It's not like we have ADHD. It's not enticing. I've had enticing lectures before, you know, like psychology class was interesting to me. So I paid attention. But if you're forcing general studies, uh, general public knowledge that we don't even use anymore day to day, unless you want to make a connection, like we're going to make multiple connections in history. Other than that, bro, I rather build an engine from scratch. I rather build like my project car, my Honda. I rather build my a D16 or a B20 from scratch. I rather get some motor parts and just do that. But I don't have the time. I'm
Mhm.
using the time for other things. You have to learn other things. They didn't teach
Yeah.
us taxes. They didn't, they didn't really teach us how money works, right?
No.
Again, just how to be employees, how to show up, and how to get paid by the hour. The bell rings, you have to show up for class. So you have to be here at a certain time, just like jobs. There's certain times you can go on breaks, certain times you have to eat lunch, and then there's times when you get to go home. And then what do you do for the rest of the day, right? You still got to think about school, homework. So sometimes you go to work, you still have to think about work when you get home. We've been trained for such a long time just by the general education system. You got to think a certain way. I don't know if this ever happened to anybody else, but in school, saying there's one kid that's left behind, raises his hand, says, "Hey, Miss So and So," and I only say Miss because majority of teachers are women, right, respectively.
They are,
Miss So and
yeah.
So, I don't, I don't fully understand this. Can you help me out? I'm sure this happened before. It's like, no, we got to move past this. You can't stop here. We gotta move past this. We're behind. But what if that child just learns differently? What if that child needs a different form of attention, right? It needs to be told a different way. There's nothing wrong with being a teacher, correct? There's nothing wrong with being a teacher. It's just the system in place isn't designed for individuals. It's designed to mass produce.
Mhm.
And it's that part. Just like the allegory, it's designed to show you symbols and designed to tell you things. Just like let's talk about history and how history is written by the victors, right? Straight up. That narrative is pushed in a certain way so you can see it in a certain light. The minute you start to question that narrative nowadays, right, you get labeled certain things. That was the original point of all this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I ramble, right? But that was the original part of all this. It's getting the labels put on us, right? You start thinking differently, you're a conspiracy
Start
theorist.
thinking
Thinking about getting more masculinity or want to increase your testosterone, you're a misogynist. What? What? You say stuff like, you know what? Uh, uh, I'm cool with gay people. You can do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever happens in your bedroom is between y'all. But the minute you say something like, I don't want a transgender reading to my child when they're 5 years old about their lifestyle choices, you're transphobic.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of these labels out here that's implemented on people to pressure them into not being a certain way, right? And you can see it reflected in society. I'm telling you right now, this is where all these bots are coming from because they don't want to say anything. They might feel it in their soul, right? They might feel something, and that's just that little curiosity that you mentioned before, that little spark. It's that you're trying to shake them, you're trying to wake them up,
Right.
but they have to allow it. They have to want it. They have to allow it, right? But yeah, this ties in perfectly with what's been going on with some of the celebrities that's been yapping, what they're saying. You know, they've called Kanye crazy for years. Years they called him crazy. But what does that really mean? Sorry. I remember when he was next to what's his name? I think his name is Mike Myers. He was on for Hurricane Katrina. He was doing the ad relief, right? Like
Yes, yes, yes.
2006, something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Real devastation. You gotta help us out, right? First thing he says, George Bush don't care about black people.
That threw the media off. The media started shaking. What?
What? And the reason why the media spins a lot of narratives, especially when it's someone who they deem as uncontrollable, just like Andrew Tate, they need to paint you in a certain light that can get the masses to view you as a villain, or this is
Mhm.
bad, or he needs to go, or it's dangerous. This is dangerous mindset, or whatever it is. So you can get the fear of what it is instead of listening to what's actually happening, listening and having the discernment to understand what's going on. Again, apply it to your life. Allegory of the cave, dog. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's literally everywhere. It's painted in so many different things, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to question things, what they're told or what they
Let me
see.
ask you this. Let me ask you this though. Can an opinion be wrong?
My personal choice is
Can an
no,
opinion be wrong?
no.
So if I say the sky is
Well,
green, am I
yes, I
wrong?
want to say yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm about to say
Yes,
because there's
I
definitely
had to
certain
think
things.
about that a little bit
Mm-hmm.
differently, but yes, yes, an opinion can be wrong because
Trust me.
I think about it in terms of like if I ask somebody like advice and or their opinion, not even advice, but their opinion, and n- your opinion can either it can be left, it can be go right or left.
And I see where you're coming from. You're talking more about like from a not even a factual base. Like I get where you're coming from. Like you're just getting some thoughts from another person or about a
Right? Yeah,
situation.
exactly.
I get it. Um, but that also applies to again universal laws or the facts that are around us. You know, we observe a lot of things. Again, like if the sky was green, right, but it's blue. It's mostly blue because of the nitrogen and all the different chemicals in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
You would know that if you looked it up, but most people don't look it up and just say it's
Right.
blue because of the ocean, blah blah blah. It's no, it's all the gases in the sky, sun's burning. It's a lot closer than you think. Look, and this is what I'm saying. Like once you understand, like you have a different perception of the world, you can start to get a grasp of okay, they've once lied to me before. What else have they lied to me with? And you start seeing things that go down the line of okay, if they lied to me again, what else have they lied about? And
Exactly.
that's where you get into the deep waters and then
That's when it
fall
keeps
down.
going.
You
That's
just
when it keeps going.
keep going right down that rabbit hole. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now. I'm real deep. And I'm not even as deep as some other people are. But,
But that's
that's
part of
the
the
point of the
journey.
journey. Yep, exactly.
And we're just
And
sharing it, we're just sharing it.
literally. And that's why even when it comes down to, you know, what I'm about to show next is a clip of literally Kyrie stating that you want to question me about f- football, I mean basketball, whatever you want to question me about, I give you the answer. But the minute that I'm anti something or I don't want, like, it just doesn't go with me, whatever it's going on, or I'm not giving you the what you want to hear, essentially, because a lot of what you want to hear, um and once I give you what I don't want to hear, what you don't want to hear, that's when that's when they paint you as the villain. And that's what it is. Nobody wants to hear. Nobody that voted for Bush, or anybody that was on his side or his father's side or any of that. They don't want to hear what Kanye said. They don't want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear the truth, and that's the thing. This is what we said it in the first trailer. Like, what happened to ever just, the truth, not my truth, because it's the truth. And everything has two sides. Everything just has two sides. And, you know, it comes down to you picking a side. You have to pick a side. And,
That's facts.
he picked a side.
That's facts.
And because they're not with the side he picked on, now all of a sudden it's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. But everybody is literally on a side. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
we look at the world from a bird's eye view, everybody's on a side. You either fuck with only White Castle. I'm just putting this as an example, or you only fuck with McDonald's. Let's just say you either fuck with eating healthy and going to Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, or you fuck with just eating out every single day. Like, everybody has a choice, and everybody has you got to pick a side. And because he picked a side where it resonated with him, because he has the external power that he has, because Kanye has the external power that he has, all of a sudden it's an issue. And that's the thing with these
Mm-hmm.
people. They can be controlled. And when you're in that ladder, you're being controlled. All of
Mm-hmm.
them are being
All of them.
controlled. So the minute that you step out of that, you are a you're essentially a target, and you are a threat. And that's just how they look at it. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
like,
You
is
become a threat to the system. You become a
yeah,
whole threat. You have influence over the masses, and the minute you step out of line, you gotta herd you back in. There's only so much herding they'll do before they actually, want to put you down. There's track records of government getting involved and setting up assassinations and planning accidents to make it look like, oh, just a car accident in the highway. Poor Princess Diana. Oh.
bro.
I'm telling you.
It's that simple.
You're telling me the people that orchestrate the news, orchestrate the media, orchestrate information that majority of people can get, don't look at how they can probably portray something, how they only want you to see what they want you to see, right? These are things that you really just gotta think about and just keep in the back of your head, your subconscious, all the
Yeah,
time,
sit on it
even
first.
all the time, all the time. Like down to how your camera works, or how social media or Instagram works, right? People only show you what they want you to see.
Literally. Literally. Just never forget that. And
Yeah.
that's literally how we have to live our lives too. Like, once you're there, you have to that's a constant thought that just goes on. It's just a constant thought.
falsehoods in it. But I also am a human being that's 30 years old, and I've been growing up in a country that's told me that I
Damn,
wasn't
I
worth
wish I had a
anything,
beard
and I
like that
came
at
from a
30.
slave class, and I come from a people that are meant to be treated the way we get treated every day. So I'm not here to compare anyone's atrocities or tragic events that their families have dealt with generations of time. I'm just here to continue to expose things that our world continues to put in darkness. I'm a light. I'm a beacon of light. That's what I'm here to do. You guys ask me questions about basketball, I give you my expert opinion. You guys ask me about other things, I give you my opinion, and it's met with whatever you believe the perception or the deception is. You guys investigate my life every day, and you justify it by serving your own purpose, which I honor. I would like the same respect in return, figuring out just like anyone else. So please keep that same energy when we're talking about anti other things, because just because I post a documentary doesn't mean I'm anti Semitic. and doesn't mean that I'm automatically standing with everyone that is believing in it. So it's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I can stand on the truth because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, and I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I studied. I know the Oxford Dictionary. You look it up, right? Just one of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in the book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from.
I totally agree. Like, I mean, that's the whole point of this whole entire episode. It doesn't matter. It does not matter the amount of external power that you can manifest, right? Internally, it's all the same. We might be ignorant to it. You might not know that you have a soul. You might not know you have free will. But it's all the same. And by that I mean it's going to get to a point where you start to question your existence because we all were children once, right? So we're hearing things such as what he just said, reading the superpower. If you want to trick a black person, put it in the book. It's because niggas don't read. And it's not even to be like offensive or anything like that. From earlier, bro. Everyone listening, watching out there, reading is fundamental. Your brain is an organ. You need to exercise your organ. Like, connect those neurons, figure it out. Because what he's saying is absolute truth. It's not offensive. It's factual. It's factual. We can look up statistics. I mean, it's getting kind of late, so we have to cut it. But like, we can look up statistics about the literacy rate of graduating kids out of high school. Pick a state. They'll give you the stats, and that's the power of the internet. Like, everything's in our hands. We have everything in the pocket of our pants, just right here. And I was serious about just watching cat videos or titties working or whatever, because that's what's being fed to people. And unless you're aware and want to fight it, you're just letting it happen. You think it's normal, it's whatever. Like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, just you go. Yeah, I like that. Show me more. Recommend me some more things like that. All the while, it's screwing you up. Like, it's fucking up your mental. How you think, how you look at things, how you look at other people, how you communicate. Like,
It's all connected. And I say that because I'm watching this show called Manifest, and it's all connected. Like, everything that happens you have to watch it in order to understand. It's all connected. Like, everything is connected, and everything you just stated, trust me, it's like peeling an onion. There's so many different parts to it, but today was the basic foundation to this. And I have one more clip to show, and I just show this again because it's just the simple things for me, like just the simple lines that keep getting repeated. And also, these people get targeted because they're not your regular audience. They're not your favorite rapper. They're not your rapper that's talking about gibberish. Like,
yeah.
they're standing for something now. And now is where, again, it goes back to, what are you going to choose to believe, and what resonates with you. um and we're all here for a reason. We're all here for a purpose. We get that, right? But either way, bro, like, let me just show this real quick.
Bring the thing up.
Jewish people have information, Chinese people, it's not even information, it's intelligence, right? Because what is the definition of the word nigga? Ignorant. So it's intelligence. So you see a human being that can be looked at or classified as a nigga that is cocooning or breaking out of a cocoon into intelligence and bringing all of his niggas with him at the same time. And that is the way that we're going to get free and come into our own power, the way the Jewish people came into their power.
And avoiding misinformation, which is more of
misinformation, like trauma economy, like the BLM. You know what I'm saying? When they do BLM, when they do school shootings, the same amount of people getting killed every week in Chicago, but they're not posting that. They're not showing that.
But why are you not posting that? Because you from Chicago.
All right, and that's when we gonna stop.
Yeah. A response like that automatically just...
It's just like, what do you... I'm not even gonna get started with that.
Because he's from Chicago, he should be like, look at what's going on in my hometown.
Right.
What are we going to do about this? How about, right? Let's take a throw a little needle in the haystack. How about, why don't you post about it then? Oh, because it's not that relevant to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why. So, look, when people fall for a trend, and this is gonna be a side note real quick, like BLM, when people were like, "Oh, let's put a black square up," or the recent one would be the AI stuff. You really need to question, why? Like, what's the benefit of putting a black square up? Did that help anybody that was been incarcerated?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that was in the protests that got damaged, injured?
Where did that money go?
Oh, I mean, again, I looked it up. One of the leaders, if I'm not sure, it's a black woman actually. It's disheartening and disrespectful. She bought a mansion in Ground Pool.
Yep.
Living the lifestyle of a celebrity, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like $80-something million.
Yeah.
Like all tax free.
Yep.
Right?
And that's that part.
All tax free. So it's just one of those things again where you hear information like this, and I'm also glad that Kanye said exactly what nigga means. It's ignorant. It can apply to anybody. So take whatever emotion that comes with the word, take that out. Take it out. Don't let people have control over you when they're just saying words to you. That's one way also you can control somebody's mind. Do you know how many people don't let, and I shouldn't say let, but if someone who wasn't black came up to you and you're a black person, more often than not, what have we seen in videos? Like, say it again. Say it again.
Mm-hmm.
Knock you the fuck out. Don't. You're giving that person power over you. So what if he calls you a nigga? Okay. And now if he puts hands on you, that's something different. If you're going to protect yourself physically, that's something different. If someone says words to you, oh God.
That's where the control comes in.
And that's that part. That's that part. So him saying, again, you're being ignorant. It's because even look at the black community. Like, what is that, bro?
Mm-hmm.
There really isn't, quote unquote, a black community as you can call another community a community. There's no unity. You can say, oh yeah, sure, we tried with Black Wall Street and it got burned down. Okay. So what about now? What about now? What's going on with all the divorces, the lack of marriages, the single parent homes, the lack of fathers in these homes? We can't just always blame the men. Again, as a kid, you're growing up, you become the men,
Right.
right? So we're seeing these things happen. And I've even come to a conclusion where there's a bunch of people growing up now in this generation that wants to be a father and make it work because they didn't have a father. So at least there's some accountability at some point when it comes to like, okay, this is what men are doing, right? We're not even getting to this discussion about men and women. This is not the episode for it. I'm sure you guys can go out there and get your red pill on. You'll see it. The minute you start looking at it, though, it's wild, and it's one of those things where even Jordan Peterson, when he talks about men and men health, and he'll be the one that's crying on camera. He'll cry in public that men are coming up to him saying that they're thankful that he's their hero. So glad you got to meet him. They were in a down spiral, and his words really pulled him out because that's not what the media is pushing for men.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different story for us.
It's a different narrative.
It's a different narrative for us, and we have to experience that and live that every single day. So as a black man, like Kanye, he's saying he wants better for his people. He's not saying it out of like, yo, fuck these people. Fuck these people over here. He's pointing out trends and patterns that seem to work for other people. And there seems to be a wall, right? Just we're going to call it a wall that's blocking that type of success for his own people or our people, that's to put it. Because I suppose I'm in that category too.
Mm-hmm.
He's right. Information is knowledge, and everything's a choice. I mean, I don't know how clear it can be. I don't know how much clearer it can be.
And it's the part where the minute you want to gather your people together. Now, don't get me wrong. There's in in this particular. I'm not gonna dive in too much, but in this particular interview, he could have probably said things differently. But then you also got to understand his point of view. You got to
Exactly.
understand where he comes from, the pain that he has endured and has had throughout the years, and what has happened, because this is not new. This has been in our history, and it has paved the way for a lot of people to feel the way that they feel nowadays, especially black people. And you know, nobody wants to sit there and question where this is coming from, but automatically points at, well, it's like they give him, like, he has such a big platform that it's like they hold him accountable to things that don't even matter in the moment. It's like
Mm-hmm.
what like, and I'm not saying that they don't matter. They don't matter. They matter, but not in that moment. Like we're trying to get something out, a bigger message out. You know what I'm saying? And it's that point where it's like, damn, you can't
He's
even
trying to get a
accept
message. I
that.
didn't mean to cut you out. He's trying to get a message across, and instead of them trying to like understand what he's saying, where he's coming from, like you just stated, they're trying to move the goalposts. That's what it's called. The
Yeah,
concept is called moving the goalposts. You're just completely disregarding everything he just said, every
just
single thing,
putting yeah,
and then
putting
putting
over
it somewhere
there.
else and going, so why don't you do this?
Yes, right. So
And like we've been there, like we've all been there. But the difference is when you start to understand that you do it within yourself, you can see it in other people.
yes, and it's that part. You have to first see it within self. It starts within self. And that's why honestly the people that just point fingers and just like to point fingers and not take accountability at all, you're pointing three back at you. If you ain't with it, you ain't with it, cool. But if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Like
That's true.
just don't say nothing at all. And that's also one of the things that trigger me, because that goes all back to being self-aware. You know, it
Mm.
just it stems from being self-aware, trust me, even to capture information like this, it really starts back to the small things, like I said. throughout this whole entire episode. Um, so we drop gems. I hope you guys take all of this information and really continue to do something with it and continue to contribute and have conversations outside of this, um, and share perspectives and dig deeper. We did a great job of presenting, informing, and also articulating the message, but it's even of a greater job when it resonates with you and you continue that action. And I like to call it more of a call to action, outside of this. So, that's the purpose of High Consciousness Podcast. Thank you for coming to today's episode. Thank you, T, for, taking your time and really breaking things down for us and allowing us to have this dialogue and also sharing your perspective, especially as a Black male in
Again,
the United States.
thank you for tuning in with us today. Right. Tomorrow, whenever you do come across this video, I just want to say thank you. If you're watching us on YouTube, like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, because this is only the beginning. And I was saying earlier, it takes many small steps to achieve the goal, any goal. Great, overwhelming proportions. Just take it one day at a time. One day at a time. Take it
One
easy.
day at a time, one episode at a time. This is what we're here for, because we're also going through the journey ourselves, so we're no different than you and we're no
Yeah.
better than you. So like, subscribe, follow us, keep up with us on our Instagram page our Instagram page is High Consciousness Pod, and keep up with us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Podcasting. So thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We love you guys and appreciate you guys so much. Have a great one.
Oh shit, we're on Amazon?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, because I'm about to
Oh,
leave that
shit,
for
we're in
the end.
Amazon? Let me cut it right there.
Not even anything else.
That's it.
Just Amazon.